All right, guys, there was some recent news on Francis Ngannou, and I really wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to get some feedback on it as well, because I think Francis Ngannou is in a very unique situation in a bad way. I think he might have ruined his career, and I'm interested to hear other people's thoughts on this. Now, firstly, personally, I am very happy that Francis is no longer in the UFC because he was holding things up. It was taking too long to come up with a fight, and it was starting to get very boring at heavyweight. But having said that, his run up to heavyweight was quite fun. There was the whole he hits harder than a car running into your chest thing. He had originally lost to Stipe, which made the rematch very exciting. So that was quite good. But obviously, since he became champion, he has been very inactive. I am a little bit torn on this because heavyweight was already in a bit of a bad situation when Stipe and DC, the fight was sort of finished up and there were no real contenders left after Francis. Now, Francis taking so long to book fights has actually let heavyweight bubble a bit and things have gotten way more interesting again. Curtis Blades has made a very nice run for the top. Tom Aspinall is on the scene. Spivak is very fun to watch. Poor Tai Tuivasa's entire career has come and gone while Francis has been trying to make a fight. And of course, Jon Jones has returned. And not only has he returned, but he beat Cyril Gane in a much better fashion than Francis beat Cyril Gane. And now all the best MMA heavyweights in the world are back in the UFC. They're all in the top 10. Order has been restored and Francis isn't there. He is like a musician without an album deal at the moment. And the UFC and Dana White have blatantly said that they are never, ever going to be working with Francis again. On top of that, Francis's not manager, Ali Abdelaziz, came out and said that Francis is expecting $30 million for his next fight. And according to Francis, he also wants respect, which translating from Francinese means he doesn't want to sign an exclusivity deal with whoever he chooses to fight with next. So Bellator have already come out and said they're sort of 50-50. They could take Francis or leave it. They don't think he's worth all that. And that is the right answer in my opinion. I don't see why any organization would sign on with Francis at the moment, especially for $30 million. Let's look at some situations that are very similar to what Francis is going through at the moment. Obviously, there's Conor McGregor versus Mayweather. But that was a cross-promotion deal with the UFC. The UFC were going to be making money off that fight, and Conor McGregor was guaranteed to come back to the UFC after that fight was done. Jake Paul's whole fighting career started because he was a YouTuber fighting retired MMA fighters, and he was using their fighting clout to build his fighting clout. And that's what helped get Jake Paul's ball rolling. Unfortunately for Francis Ngannou, there isn't exactly a heavyweight YouTuber just lying around with a boxing deal ready to take him up on the fight. So obviously that leaves his mate Tyson Fury. But why would Tyson Fury's management foot a $30 million bill and risk having Tyson Fury lose to not be able to piggyback off Francis's success if that happens? He essentially wants another organization to put up the cash and the risk, and he would essentially lose nothing. Let's just imagine that Francis Ngannou loses a fight in boxing. Well, it's not really a big deal. MMA fighters don't tend to do well in boxing anyway. But again, if Tyson Fury loses that fight, then they're out 30 mil, they're out a heavyweight champion, and they don't have the rights to Francis either. That's not a great deal. So then why would bare knuckle boxing or the PFL put up such a steep payday for Francis Ngannou? You've already got the best fighting organization in the world, which is the UFC, and they've already valued him at $8 million. And that evaluation was before Jon Jones made Cyril Gane look silly. Honestly, I think Francis's best hope now is that the PFL do put on that 50-50 pay-per-view deal with Jake Paul. And even then, can you imagine how many buys that would have to do for Francis to get $8 million out of that deal? I just don't understand why he would leave the UFC without a manager or without a fight lined up in an organization that was already ready to go when he had such a good deal waiting for him. And especially when he didn't want to sign an exclusivity deal with anyone else either. I mean, even Jake Paul had to sign an exclusivity deal with Showtime just to get the ball rolling. Honestly, Francis Ngannou is mad. He might have wrecked his career, and it's sad to see because he was a wrecking ball when he was focused on just showing up and fighting every couple of months. Anyway, that's how I see the landscape for Francis. I'd love to know in the comments, What do you guys think? Do you see a way that he can get himself a big payday without an exclusivity deal and something over $8 million? Because I don't see how he can do it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I guess I will see you all in the next video.